This is my November TBR. It's overly ambitious. I don't think I'm going to get to all of these books, but before you click off the video, I do want to show you my ambitious plans because I am really excited about all of these, and that's why I have picked out so many books this month. As always, plans could change. I always expect them to. November is also my birthday month and also my husband's birthday month, so it can get really busy, but we don't really have many plans this year, which will be quite nice. So I'm hoping to spend a lot of time reading. At the end of the month, I'm also going to a reading retreat. So I've been trying to build a bit of a TBR for that. It hasn't been going great because I just have no idea what I want to read. I have kind of split this TBR up into projects because I have a lot of things that I would like to do in the next month. Some of it is prep for Bookmas, which I will be doing again this year, and some of this is just themed reading. Now that I've said all of that, let me just show you the books that I want to read for one reason or another. They're not really set to a certain theme. The first one is Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. I found this one in a charity shop recently, so I don't think I've hauled it yet. This is a romance book about a swimmer and a diver. I think one of them is like a world champion in swimming or diving or something, because it's a romance book, the two of them get together. I really like Ali Hazelwood's books. I've read quite a lot of them, not quite half of them I don't think, because she releases so many books so often, but I've read her first 3 definitely. I've read her paranormal romances, and now I think I have maybe like 5 left to read, but I can't keep up with her. She releases so many books each year. My friend who didn't love Bride loved this one, so I don't know where I'm going to fall because I adore Bride and Mates. I actually think I prefer Ali Hazelwood's paranormal romances to her contemporary, but I do want to give this a go, especially as I found it cheap, and I'm hoping I will still enjoy it. I will continue to try to work my way through her backlist. Another book I picked up recently, and I don't think I've hauled, is A Language of Dragons. This was one of my most anticipated books of the year. It came out in January and I did start reading it, but I didn't get all the way through. I don't think I got very far even. I think I got the ebook, and this was before I got my Kobo and before I broke my e-reader ebook slump that I was in. But this one sounds absolutely fantastic and I can't wait to read it now. It's set in London in the 1920s, so it's historical fiction, and there are also dragons, so it's also fantasy. As far as I'm aware, it also focuses on linguistics because the main character, who is called Vivian, she is studying dragon languages. One of the lines here says that by midnight, Viv has started a civil war. She goes to Bletchley Park, which is a place that was very important during World War II. It's actually just north of where I live. I've been there before, so I'm hoping that since this is set near me, I will get really into it, and I'm really, really hyped to read this one. I also have another dragon book that I am quite excited to read, and that is Fireborn. This one has been on many a TBR. This is actually a 5-star prediction, and that's why I want to get to it by the end of the year, because my 5-star predictions are either a complete hit or I give them 1 star. There is no in between, it seems, so I hope that I love this one. I believe this is YA fantasy, and it's about 2 people who, when they were younger, there was some sort of revolution in this world. Annie, one of the main characters, is from a low-born family, and I think her entire family were killed by dragonfire for some reason. I don't know if they were part of the rebellion or something. And then Lee, the other main character, is a rich guy from a aristocratic family, and part of his family, or that group of people, used to rule the city, but the revolution happened, and then I believe Lee was orphaned as well. And so the two met in an orphanage. They've grown up together. They're best friends, but they come from very different backgrounds. And the two of them are training to join the dragon riding fleet. I don't know what kind of army this is, or if this is some sort of army training situation. I really do think I'm going to love this one. I predict that I'm going to give it 5 stars. I really, really hope I do. I really want to love it. Another 5-star prediction I have is Wolf Song. This is my 5-star prediction from a couple of years ago, and this is about wolf shapeshifters. I think it's an adult series, but it starts when the main character is quite young. It says the main character is called Ox, and he is 12, or was 12, when his father first taught him a lesson. His father said that Ox wasn't worth anything and people would never understand him, and then his father left. And then when Ox is 16, a family move in next door and he becomes close with them, and I believe they're wolf shapeshifters. I have such high hopes for this one. I really hope I'm going to like it, and I'm kind of tempted to start reading right now. In November, I also have some buddy reads or book club books coming up. The first one doesn't really fit that, but I feel like it kind of counts. I'm going to be reading ACOTAR again. I read it when it first came out. I gave it 1 star because I hated it, and I started reading it last year again, and I DNF'd. So I'm going to try again because one of my friends read the series last year and ended up really, really enjoying it after this book. And then another one of my friends who read ACOTAR around the same time hated it, recently got back into the series, and she's been giving every other book in this series 5 stars. So my tastes don't always align with those of my friends, but I do trust when they tell me that I'm going to enjoy a ship or something. One of my friends and I met because we were both in the Delana fandom, so we have very similar tastes. I think I'm still going to hate this book, but I am going to try my best to get to the second book. So I need to read this one in November and hurry up and get to the second book and see if I like it. My work book club is going to be reading The Anomaly. So this initially is set on an aeroplane, and this plane passes through a storm, and then the plane is duplicated. I think everyone on board is duplicated as well. So for every passenger, there are now 2 of them, and that means that their memories are doubled, their experiences are doubled. So that already sounds very intriguing, but what then happens is one of the planes lands in March, I believe, and then the other one doesn't land until a few months later in June. So this sounds really weird, and I'm looking forward to reading it. I think it'll be a good one to discuss with my work colleagues. It is also translated, I believe, from French, judging by the author's name. Let me just double check. Yes. It was first published in French in 2020, and then it was translated in 2022. So I'm looking forward to reading this. And then the other buddy read that I have coming up is Magic Bites. I don't know if we're going to read this month. I'm meant to be reading it with my friend Judith, but we keep getting distracted and reading other stuff. So I don't know. This is on the pile as a possibility. This is the first book in quite an old urban fantasy series, and my friends have absolutely loved it. And I have DNF'd it, soft DNF'd it, about 5 times. I just cannot get into this book, but I don't think I've really been in the right mindset for urban fantasy. I'm going to try my best. I'm going to try to enjoy this. I would also like to mention a couple of new releases that I'd like to read in November. First one is The Strength of the Few. That's the sequel to The Will of the Many, which I read in October. It's a fantasy series inspired by ancient Rome, and the ending to the first book was such a cliffhanger. I'm really excited to read the second book, and I do want to get to it right away. I've ordered a copy from the Broken Binding. I'm hoping that they dispatch it close to release day so I don't have to wait for ages. It's just going to be a very long book, I imagine, like the first one, so it may take me a while to get through, but I'm very excited for it. And then the other new release is Brigands and Bread Knives, but I don't know if I'm definitely going to read that in November. I may save it for December, just because it's coming out towards the end of the month and I've already got enough here to be getting on with, I think. So those are the 2 new releases that I'm interested in reading. I've also got a couple of series that I would like to finally finish. The first one being Illusionary, or the series is called Incendiary. That's the first book, and this is the second and last book called Illusionary. I don't really remember much about the first book, so I'm going to have to read my own recap and refresh my memory, but I do remember really enjoying it. It was a really fast-paced YA fantasy. There was some mystery in there. It left things quite open for the second book as well. It answered some questions, but then introduced some other ones as well. So I'm looking forward to reading this one and finally finishing off this series. I would also love to read Wisteria. This one is definitely more of an autumnal read, which is why I really want to get to it finally in November. I loved Belladonna, the first book in the series, and the second one, Foxglove, wasn't as good, but I still very much enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to getting to Wisteria, finishing off this series and seeing where the characters end up. I don't know if I'm going to read Holly, which is the novella which released in September this year. I don't know where that fits in the series, whether it's a follow-on from this or if it's kind of wedged in between. I don't really get on well with short stories unless I love the characters, and I don't know if I adore the ones in this book enough to read a whole novella. So I'm going to read Wisteria, then decide what I want to do with Holly, and then hopefully count this series as complete. I'm really looking forward to reading this one. It's very atmospheric, very dark, quite gothic, so that one's on the list. Also, for my November plans, I would like to do non-fiction November, so I've picked out 4 books from my non-fiction shelf that I would like to try to read, but I may pick out some different ones instead. So my aim is to read 1 a week, because I do really want to focus on non-fiction this month, but I know that I cannot solely read non-fiction because I will read it so slowly. I will end up only reading those 4 books. So the first one I've picked out is I Am Malala. So I actually already started this one. I started it as an audiobook. I think I'm only about 30 pages in, so I might restart it and read it physically. It's not a very long book at all. It's under 300 pages, so I can read this very quickly. I've also picked out another book that I started a while ago but then put down, and that's called All You Can Ever Know. So this is the author's memoir about her adoption story, how she coped with finding out that she was adopted. Although I think she was adopted into a white family, so presumably she already knew that she was adopted because she was adopted from Korea, and so she didn't look like her adoptive parents. But I think it's kind of a story of finding out what that meant to her rather than finding out that she was adopted, if that makes sense. So I'm looking forward to reading this one. I've also picked out The Last Blue Mountain. I really enjoy reading non-fiction about climbers and their experiences and kind of the catastrophes that happen while mountain climbing. So this one tells the story of the tragedy that happened on Mount Haramosh, which is part of a mountain range in Pakistan. I believe there were 4 climbers at the time who were trying to climb to the summit, and it just didn't go well. So I don't know much about the actual events incident itself, so I'm looking forward to reading this and finding out more about it. And then the last non-fiction book I've picked out is Out of Thin Air. This is a true crime kind of story about a murder in Iceland. So the tagline says, in 1974, in two seemingly unconnected incidents, two men vanished into thin air. Then out of it came 6 murder confessions and 6 convictions. Yet in the decades that followed, these two would evaporate. I don't know anything about this incident. I can't remember why or when I picked this book up. I just know that I am looking forward to reading it. And then finally, another little project that I will have going on in November is NetGalley November. I don't know if anyone's hosting this officially in November this year. It's just something that I want to do because I like the alliteration. So I picked out 2 books from my shelf, one that I got a couple of years ago and one that I just found in a charity shop recently. So the first one is Bridge. This is a sci-fi book, I believe, about parallel worlds or realities. So I'm looking forward to this one because I love that trope. And then the other one I found recently is The Great Divide, and I can't believe I found such a nice hardback in a charity shop. So this one is historical fiction. It's set in Panama and it's about the building of the canal, and I believe it's about the workers there and the people who lived nearby and how they were affected by the entire project. So I'm looking forward to reading this one. It's been on my NetGalley shelf for ages. I cannot wait to get to it. I'm really glad that I finally have a physical copy because now I have a chance to really focus on it. So I'm looking forward to this. And that's my whole November TBR. Again, as I said, things might change. I might encounter some other plans that kind of like throw everything off the rails. We'll see how it goes. I'll let you know at the end of the month. Fingers crossed everything goes well. Thank you so much for watching. Tell me in the comments below what you'll be reading in November, and I'll talk to you in the next video. Bye!